Hello everyone, sorry for the later video today, but I was busy with some things, a lot of stuff going on at the moment, behind the scenes and artifact related, as well as other things, and yeah, I am back today, though, despite that, for another video, for another deck, and this time it's going to be a bit of Calveit, Mr. Jan, the Nilfgaard leader that I don't think is getting very much love at the moment. I mean, probably most of the Nilfgaard leaders aren't, other than Emir. But either way, I wanted to try to build a deck that would work with Calveit, because typically the problem with this leader is that when you want to be playing him, in round 3 late in the game, usually you've already thinned out your deck a lot, you've already played a lot of your really good cards, and so the leader ability ends up being maybe not so great. You might be ending up pulling out your kind of weaker bronze units, right? So the idea here was to make a deck which didn't really have much thinning, didn't have many bad cards, per se, and pretty much make that Calveit value always really decent, and therefore, yeah, hopefully have quite a powerful finisher and quite a strong deck overall. We'll see how good it is. In reality, I'm not sure. I haven't played too much with it, but we can find out today. So, what are the card choices? Well, we have Zoltan. I decided to mix things up a little bit. Instead of running Commander's Horn, I'm not really running any tactics synergies, so I figured Zoltan was probably just a better pickup than the Commander's Horn, although it will be harder to use probably. It's also a little bit more versatile than Horn because you can damage the enemy row and punish row stacking, which might occur, particularly if the opponent isn't expecting this sort of thing. So we've got that. We've got Jermaine to synergize with him and with Slave Inventory, which are another card that we're running. And effectively, yeah, all the cards here are meant to be high value on their own, pretty much standalone. Of course, there's exceptions in the Nausicaa Sergeant, Slave Drivers with Lock synergy, Rot Tossers and Enforcer synergy, and Sergeant, Magni Division Engine value, whatever. But really, kind of, a good core of the deck that doesn't require other cards to make it good. There's a few exceptions to that. But yeah, we're playing for a lot of value. We have Orc Serret combo, we have Unicorn Chironex, we have Ifrit as well to try to set up Blue Dream onto an opponent's Unicorn or Chironex. And we have Peter, Treherne, and Vanhamar as well, who are all quite powerful 6-drops in the right situation. Of course, the Bronze Core, we're not playing any of the cards that can potentially be very bad, things like Alba Spearman, for example. We're not going to play any wolf packs or anything. Just trying to be pure value and always consistently a good amount of points. The idea is you want to play your bronzes early in the game and get the value from them, maybe in round 1 or round 2, and then have that Calveit, ability pulling out something really, really powerful, like your Slave Inventory later, Vanhamar, Orcs, anything that can be pretty good in that round 3. So, let's see how it works in practice. I think it's quite a cool deck idea. No Witchers, no Roach, not even Imperial Brigade or whatever those guys are called. I think they are Imperial Brigade. Yeah, none of those. We're just going to be going with a lot of value, and hopefully it'll work out. Well, let's jump into some games, guys. Alright, and the opponent is going to be Morvran himself. The other pretty cool Nilfgaard leader right now, not counting Usurper and Emir. Okay, so what are the mulligans going to be looking like? Well, since we don't really have any bricks, I think we want to actually be trying to keep quite a few of our low-value bronzes in hand. Maybe mulliganing one Rot Tosser here is good, especially since we're on blue coin. But we can keep any engines and sort of bronze units that we find. Maybe even getting rid of a Slave Infantry is okay, but I'm not sure about that. I actually don't want to get rid of another Rot Tosser. Kind of awkward to use on the blue coin a little bit. And we can then either keep this or get rid of a lock. I think we'll get rid of maybe even a Slave Inventory. I don't mind it. I just want to find engines, as soon as possible. So, what do we want to begin with? Well, we could definitely go with the Magni, I think. Now, there's sometimes consideration to start with Nausicaa, because if it gets locked and then you play Magni, they won't be able to kill your Magni with your Nausicaa rather with a Slave Driver, but you kind of then have to sequence a bit, weirdly. Nausicaa has to get a boost from something, and then it's a bit weird. So, I mean, we have tactical advantage to protect it anyway, so I don't think it would be a big problem. It's more of a red coin consideration, I guess, whether you do that or not. Here, though, I don't think we really care about denying his Nausicaa Sergeant. We'll just go ahead and play our own, and not even bother tactical advantaging it. There's no real way he can kill this. He would have to lock. And there is the lock, so that's alright. We are a little bit far behind in points now, so our lock is also probably warranted here. Gives us a little bit more slave driver value. Of course, his will also get more if he has one. But now we have a bit of an engine advantage, which should always be good, right?
Not much left of that work.
Witches are going to come down, so we might get a little bit out-tempoed here and be forced to play Unicorn or Chironex or something like that, which is not great. I think we can drop the slave driver. It looks like he won't have any more engines here, particularly if he's Shoop. If he's not, then he might have more engines. We'll have to see, I suppose. But I think playing slave driver is okay. Just get rid of this. It's not the best card ever. We can also probably throw a boost down with the tactical advantage now. We need to get ahead pretty soon, otherwise we're not going to be able to take a nice pass, and it might be a bit of a loss on even pass or whatever. But okay, slave inventory, a really nice, effective answer to Rot Tosser, so that's quite nice to see. I think we can definitely go with that. If he has another one, we can then maybe throw a random unit in the front here to defend against that. If not, then we're looking fine. There's going to be an Okvist. Pretty interesting. So we could actually lock that, and I feel like it might be warranted, but at the same time, if he's playing an Okvist, I'm a little bit worried as to what's coming later on. Potentially more orders units, more engines that we'll need to deal with. So I think I'll actually take a pass here, let this go off, and let him win the round. And then we'll just conserve as much removal as possible for later in the game. Chironex and Ifrit plus a lock should be enough to shut down most things, like we can kill an Avalak and then lock a engine or whatever, a Stefan. Whatever the opponent might have. That is a scary amount of points, fair play. But it seems like we got some pretty decent cards out of him compared to what we actually played, which were pretty much only bronze cards. I think that's exactly what we want to be doing in round 1 with this deck, trying to conserve as much power as possible for later. And hopefully we will have a pretty strong hand. By the looks of things, we in fact will. I think we can get rid of the Rot Tosser here, and that gives us Orcs, which makes me want to keep this hand. We've got the Seret and Orcs combo to shut down really anything he can have. Vanhamar plus Lock is also really good. And we can play Magni if he passes, so I think this hand is pretty much perfect. For now. I mean, going into round 3, of course, we want to find more of our power plays, I suppose. But Magni here lets us take the dry pass without too much effort. And then we can take our mulligans, and maybe even mulligan the cavalry now that we have Orcs in hand. That is an option, for sure, if we want to do that. Now, I think Treherne will be quite bad here, although it could in theory disrupt something if he has something coming from the deck. I don't think it's too likely, so probably just get rid of him here. And our other mulligan will either be the Slave Driver or the Enforcers. Now, Slave Driver is likely to get quite a bit of value here. Enforcers might only be 4s, so I think I'll mulligan one of these here. And we get Peter. So all in all, pretty solid, decent hand, lots of power plays here. And we of course have Calveit to try look for some nice finisher value as well. So what do we want to start with? Well, I think Enforcer is a pretty obvious one to go with. Can of course do some damage with that if we need to. And if not, then we'll see what happens. He might be playing Shoop, I'm not actually sure. There is Orcs. Now if that were locking all of them, then it was definitely a good decision to get rid of the one that I had. I think that's fair to say. So, we do have the option to take Dorigaray, Okvist, if we find that Blue Dream, but it's not in hand at the moment. So what's the play here? We can probably just go with Slave Driver, although that will inevitably get more value, so I think I'm more interested in just playing Seret here. I don't think there's any issue with this. Just get the pure 5 value on that. And, you know, maybe make Orcs a target for Blue Dream in some weird, weird future scenario. Here, I think Slave Driver works. We're doing that 3 damage Perfect amount right there. Not wasting any. Yes, it could be more points later, but so can any other, you know, use of removal that we could go for there. Alright, that's going to be Isabel of Hague. Hague. Whatever you call her. Probably means he'll be running Aguara to kind of synergize with that. So I think we just shut this down immediately. I'm not in the market for dealing with that. Usually if they're running that, it means they're doing some nonsense with Mill or I don't know what. In fact, if he is playing Mill, then it kind of works out quite well that we're not thinning our deck at all. But we'll see if that's actually the case. What do we have here? I think a Unicorn just works fine. We're getting a lot of points, pretty far ahead at the moment, and still a lot of removal options to get us some value here. Peter on Unicorn would be very good if we can make that happen on the opponent's, you know, boost. And yeah, we'll just see what else we have. I mean, we can even use it here on the Unicorn if we want to just take the value. I don't hate it necessarily. I also am interested in playing the Calveit soon, if not immediately. I think it's definitely okay to save Peter for now. We could probably afford to spend one lock at least on that Asaya, potentially as a Vanhamar target for later. We shouldn't need 2 locks plus Peter, you know, it should be okay in theory. We'll see though, he might have an unlock with Aguara, might get punished. It's kind of tricky to choose which one to play here. Even in Ifrit might be a good move there, but it might also get punished, so who knows. Now in reality Zoltan might not be amazing, maybe Horn is just better. Probably I should be running Horn, but whatever guys, whatever. It's fine. So that is going to be a Kyrenex. So what did he actually kill? I didn't even notice. Was it just, it was a boosted guy? So it did deal the full damage, which means he has Unicorn in hand, right? Alright, we'll kill the Kyrenex. That'll give us an option to take with Blue Dream if we find it with our leader. I think this will be quite close. Of course he's got like a ton of points with the Morvran that he's kind of holding on to, I suppose. Here I think Peter looks good. Could just grab the value there. Not going to get any better than that, I don't think. And then of course we have Orcs Vanhamar to kind of, you know, destroy the biggest unit that he has. Unfortunately we can't Orcs the Cow Carcass, that would be beautiful. Yeah, it's only locks enemies unfortunately. So let's Calveit first maybe and see what we get. Do we want to do that? Trying to think. We can get slave inventory, which would be really powerful. So I think we do it and try to get the slaves. Or Blue Dream. Maybe can do something here. Dorgare can lock a unit. I mean, we definitely play the Blue Dream here, right? The question is, what are we taking? So probably has to be Dorgare, right? I think that's just the most value. Now we don't need to row stack anymore. And of course, the next play we make is probably Vanhamar, right? It doesn't make sense to play the Orcs, because if there's a lockable unit here, we may as well lock it. And, you know, even if there isn't, I mean, playing Orcs there does effectively nothing to get us extra Vanhamar value, because we may as well always take it on Asaya. So, not quite as many points as we could have got there if we had found the, for example, slave inventory or whatever, but kind of worked out okay. We'll see if we have it. It's going to be very close, I think. Depends what his last card is, I don't know. I know it's not Shoop, but he does need sort of, yeah, quite a few points, like 11 or something. Which is going to be difficult for him to get, I imagine. We'll see. You never know what they could have up their sleeve. But I think either way it shows the proof of concept, right, for this deck, where your Calveit is always going to be a good value at the, you know, at the very least a fair amount of points, and it was there. And in fact, we just about win it, probably because of the disparity between our leader strengths, actually. Yeah, the Vreemdy there was pretty good for him. Maybe that's a consideration for this deck as well. I'll have to refine it myself, and you guys can feel free to do the same, of course, if you choose to try this deck out. But okay, let's get into another game and see if we can win another one. Alright guys, up against Woodland Spirit now. I think in theory we should be looking pretty okay against these guys. We've got a lot of tool removal for their big units. Locks for their thrivey boys. We're going to, of course, do the same we did last game and try to keep all these bronze cards around, I think. We maybe even don't mulligan anything here. It's a bit weird though, right? So perhaps we should get rid of maybe slave inventory or something like that. Whatever, I think we're going to keep on hold of these guys. Because I want to use the slave drivers to remove all the sort of low strength units he's going to have, like Neckers and whatnot. Unfortunately we don't have a Serret in hand. That would make Orcs very, very powerful. But we could maybe Zoltan Scoundrel these, not sure about that. Definitely go with Nausicaa Sergeant to start with either way. You can always deal at least 2 damage with the slave drivers, so it's not too much of an issue. Now I think we probably do want the lock on that guy. For obvious reasons, right? This one is just more threatening than Necker because it has the Death Wish ability as well. It has the Thrive effect. And, I mean, in reality, how good is Zoltan here? It does put the pressure on him in a really big way. At the same time, it might not be worth it. We can just kind of ping down these Neckers, you know, slowly but surely with our slave drivers and maybe go for a win with the Zoltan by stacking this row. I think there's no real need to, you know, go crazy and just use our really good cards. So yeah, let's get rid of that. Only 1 Thrive unit now is not too intimidating. We can always catch up pretty easily here. We have our own engine working, so not too worried about that. And of course, Blue Dream is going to be super, super strong against Woodland if we're able to take one of his big units. That's usually the end of the game for them. Weavess is going to come down, presenting us the Goliath opportunity if we want that. So here we could go with the Orcs Vanhamar. I'm also, you know, even thinking about just taking a pass here. We're really far behind. We've got a lot of good cards in hand. We've of course got Blue Dream to answer his big units as long as we have First Saiyan around, which we will do if we pass here. So I'm pretty happy with taking a pass. We've used all our bronzes here, our bad cards, and now our hand is fully gold. We can do what we did before and just save our good stuff for later in the game and hopefully outpower the opponent. I think that's going to be the plan a lot of the time here. We also have Rot Tossers, which can be very, very powerful against Woodland if they don't have removal for it. So what do we mulligan? Probably a lock. And then I guess we can hold on to this. We could also just mulligan the slave inventory. I think Enforcer will be our play here, if the opponent passes. We already have that lock synergy with Vanhamar, and I'm not sure how many more engines he'll have. It might be valuable to have a lock, but might also not do too much. I guess it depends. And in some ways it makes more sense for us to stack ranged row. We could even think about that. Here though, I don't think we need to worry. Probably can just play the Enforcer. I'll put it here. If he does kind of go all in, as it were, then the Enforcer will find value on a Ghoul anyway by putting it here. It also means he can't Drowner it. Makes Drowner less of a viable play here, right? If he Drowners, we can then just shoot it. So this is kind of like a counterplay to a lot of his cards, potentially. And here, yeah, of course, we can just take the pass. So we don't really get anything from that, apart from an extra mulligan charge, which may or may not be pretty impactful. And of course, Blue Dream onto the Goliath will just shut him down in a big way. It will mean that he won't really have a graveyard to, you know, dip into, hopefully. So Jermaine is beautiful right now. We really want to see that. I think we can get rid of a Magni. They're kind of good, but maybe not the best. I do think the other cards we have are pretty much all better than Magni, so yeah, another slave inventory, why not? That sounds really good. Now, of course, we're going to take the Goliath immediately, I think, to brick any ghouls and potentially Osrel that he could have. We're going to play into... Actually, should we play? No, we have to play front because of Jermaine, of course. Jermaine is Rolock to melee. Okay. So there's not really anything in the graveyards that he can eat. Looks like he's going to be playing Spear though. So that'll kind of shut me down a little bit by the looks of things. I think we can just go ahead and Jermaine then. It's a proactive play that we can just get down and will allow us to play save inventory out. Hopefully before he gets too many, you know, of these guys around. This is going to be kind of annoying. We don't really have answers to Thrive units right now, effectively. Like, really effective answers. We could even, I suppose, take the Calveit, but I think that might be a bit premature. If we want to find something like a Rot Tosser or Peter for, you know, getting rid of big units later, then that'll be really effective. So if we wait on that, I think we'll be okay. Here, I reckon, yeah, just another slave inventory is probably fine. The Spear's really weird. I'm not sure why he's running that. A little bit of a strange one. But as long as we're able to stack this row completely, I think we'll be okay. Zoltan's going to present a huge amount of points, buffing, you know, all the units by 2. We'll see if we can. Of course, Drowners are going to hurt quite a bit here. And I'm wondering, I mean, yeah, maybe it's worth just playing Calveit because we can answer some of this stuff right now with him. We could even play the Zoltan to just remove all this, and I kind of like that actually. It's probably worth it, right? Maybe not, but I think it's worth it. We just do. I mean, we're killing 4 Thrive units in one go, right? We're now 30 points ahead. I think it's probably a good play. Also, if he somehow disrupts the lane, you know, the row, or we don't even necessarily have a way to fully stack it out with Vanhamar being, you know, range locked and whatnot. That's very easily killable with the Ifrit. And now we're just kind of not even forced to play into one row, so Zoltan actually providing some unexpected value there with his damaging effect. Pretty cool. And it looks like the opponent's just had enough. Probably has bricked ghouls and stuff that aren't getting the value he needs. So yeah, I think that's pretty good evidence for this deck being not too shabby. It has the points, and I think it could even be optimized fully, like a little bit further, maybe throwing in Horn instead of Zoltan, but Zoltan was pretty good there. And also Reemd might be an option, but either way, cool deck I think, and allows Calveit to actually be stronger than it might otherwise be. Don't know how exactly strong this deck is, but I think it could be, you know, somewhere in tier 2 maybe. We'll see. I might experiment with this more on stream at some point, so check that out if you haven't already seen me on Twitch. And either way, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry again that it came out a bit later than usual, but that's just life, isn't it? And yeah, feel free to subscribe, guys. Tell me how you're doing in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.